Welcome, everybody, the entire internet, to Warbound, a casual Warcraft podcast, episode 7. I'm your host, Aleris, and with me, back from his birthday bash, is Theo.
Back from becoming an old man who no longer has time to play WoW anymore. That's how I feel. But no, it's good to be here. It's good to finally get back into a schedule where I can play some WoW again. So it's been good.
Yeah, it was a busy week. It was a busy week in real life. uh,
And a busy week in game.
and like I guess I can show our viewers here. I'll pull up a little bit of it. Um, I had to make for the first time in this game, even through Shadowlands, through Dragonflight, for the first time in this game, I had to make a weekly checklist of how to earn bronze celebration tokens. And it's on the screen right now. But there was a lot to do this weekend. WoW. The anniversary event started. WoW is turning 20 years old, which is making me feel very old. Um, and it's exciting. It's exciting. But we'll let Theo give his thoughts on the anniversary event.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the checklist because I know that that's like what everyone's been talking about, all these different ways to earn bronze, and I've maybe again going back to the comment I made at the beginning, maybe I'm just becoming an old man who only does what I want to do, and that's how I've been kind of approaching this anniversary event. So I know like there's a right way to do this. To you got to do the raid, you got to do the dungeons, you got to do the PvP event, and there's a maximum amount of bronze you can get. And I've just kind of ignored that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I want to do. I don't care if I'm not getting all of the bronze. Mostly because, as you know, and as people who've been listening probably, have picked up, I'm playing an evoker, and my second class is a druid. So when it comes to getting transmog, I could care less about the transmog. And so it's. I think that I'm approaching it a little bit more healthy, where I'm just like, yeah, cool. There's some new stuff to do. I'm gonna play it. But if I was someone who did want to collect everything, I think anytime, like you said, that you have to make that checklist, that chore list. It's almost like we're going back to the Shadowlands days of like having things
Yeah, it
that you have to
definitely feels
do
a little bit
for
like the weekly grind of
BFA. Exactly. You have like these weekly
Shadowlands.
quests to do. Which I don't. I mean, I think it's good that you have to actually play the game to get the rewards, but maybe not making PvE only players jump into what's it called, Paradox
Well, I actually did that
Revenge
this
or
week.
whatever that
I don't
AE thing
PvP a
is.
lot,
Oh.
but I did
Mhm.
the weekly brawl quest and Korak's Revenge um, on characters to just get that 6 extra bronze tokens. And the
Yeah.
brawl was a 6v6 Warsong Gulch, which is probably like the most PvP-ish one in terms of like you it's like an arena mixed with Warsong Gulch, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot more 1v1ing, and it's still the chaos of the capture the flag stuff. But we won the first game, so I didn't get stuck in this loop where you're just like losing every battleground. Um, and then like you never get the 3 bronze because you have to win the brawl. So there's certain brawls out there that are like totally chaotic and it's fine. And then there's obviously comp stomp and stuff like that. But generally it's like a 50-50 shot on the brawl stuff. But Korak's Revenge is kind of funny because I hopped into a game as a healer, and you can kind of tell it's a whole bunch of PvE collection Andes in there. The 40 players that are going up against each other are constantly changing. People are constantly dropping and joining because they get their 500 honor and then leave and don't care about finishing the match. I was in there for about 45 minutes. I got well over my 500 honor because I wanted to see what was happening. When I logged in, the Alliance had destroyed both towers in the Horde base and had not finished the match. Somehow the Horde had pushed them back out of the base and was contesting like the middle graveyards.
Oh gosh.
And pushing the Alliance back to their base.
Yeah.
And so my entire 45 minutes in there was this battle over like basically the mid of the map to right in front of the Horde base. So the thing with Korak's Revenge is like it's the old school AV where there isn't like a point system to end the match. It literally just keeps going and going and going and going and going. So it's not as bad. It's 40v40, so you're rarely like just caught out. Like I honestly forgot to pick PvP talents before I went in, so like I did fine. I was a healer. As a healer in BGs, you just get targeted sometimes and then die, but like it worked out pretty good. But yeah, it's a lot because this event lasts like 8 weeks or something. And so like you can collect all of the tier 2 sets, which is the thing that I care about most.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't play every class. I'm probably going to get 4 or 5 of the sets, which is going to be like 120, 150 tokens. And I got 40 this first week, including the intro quests. So I'm looking at like 27 a week or something like that, which is like I'll get my first set next week, but there's a lot to do. Like the Chromie time thing wasn't bad. I don't understand. I guess the scenario needs 3 tanks, and so the queue is 30 minutes, but I'm a tank, so the queue's not 30 minutes for me.
Yeah, no,
But
I've
like,
heard a lot of upset people about that.
You know, if you just want the one tier set for Druid or your main or whatever, you just do like the world bosses, the just queue the LFR to kill the final boss. Even the 500 honor in Korak's Revenge isn't that bad. And then do 5 time walking, and you're getting enough to finish it by the end of the event. But I can see how people are kind of upset because this entire community is like, oh my god, I need to collect it now immediately and be done with this event within 48 hours, or I never want to play this game again. And well, some people got that this week when Blizzard announced a $90 mount for the first time. Now, before we get too far into it, I will say it's a dope model. Okay, it's a dope model, and I found out on Reddit that there's gems all over the mount that signify the different expansions of WoW up to now, up to War Within, including Classic. So that's kind of cool, that there's like War Within is on the head, it's this cracked red gem, Classic's on the belly, it's this big blue circle gem, TBC's on the side with a green gem, Legion's on the other side with another green gem, then you have Cataclysm and Wrath of the Lich King, Shadowlands, BFA, Warlords of Draenor, Mists of Pandaria. So it's pretty cool. They did a good job, I think, at least giving you a beautiful amount for $90. But I don't need a $90 mount. I don't use the auction house that much.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's not even the auction. It's like giving another auction house mount. That's just like whatever, sure, that's already in the game. I think the thing that is really kind of bad about it is that the fact that there's a mailbox on it as well. And check me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first mount that has a
it's the only mount with a mailbox. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's why, like, and I know I've been teasing you about it, but it's not really any. I don't think it's the same as the Grizzly Hills mount that
No,
they
which
just
I bought.
put
It was
out.
$20,
Yeah,
and
which
it's a
because you
it's a
can get that.
smaller, but it's a smaller
Yeah,
yak. The yak is great, and
yeah,
I have the yak too,
and
but
yeah,
the yak's
and the
big,
yak. And
and
I think that's the core of the issue. It's not the $90 for the mount, whatever. I'm not going to pay $90 for a mount. If other people want to pay $90 for a mount, that's fine. Hey, that means that, you know, Microsoft is going to still see WoW as being profitable. They're going to keep the
yeah,
servers running, which
that's the
at the
big
end of the
point.
day, that's yeah.
Yeah, is that
Um,
like I don't care if people buy it. I don't care that it's in the game because I want this game to keep going. I want the devs to have
yeah,
money to
but
make the game.
yeah,
You know.
I think the only way to have this, the reason why this doesn't feel good is because it's a because of the mailbox on it. I think in addition to this, they should have also added something similar to the original Brutosaur that would have had a ridiculous amount of, grinding to do, whether it was gold or some other resource that you had to do, some other way to get a not the same amount, but a similar amount that functionally does the same thing, or a toy that lets you drop the mailbox whenever you want. Just something like that, because that I think is the big issue. Like just for instance, when we're like, when we're doing raid and we get to Queen, and then we decide, you know what? Oh crap! The person that we normally have make our cauldrons isn't on right now, so we need to get a cauldron, and it just makes it so much easier. Like, well, it's not necessarily pay to win. In a way, it's pay to win because then it saves us that 10 minutes of having someone have to go to door and go, summon them back in, get rebuffed and everything like that. Like if you can do that all from standing right in front of the raid or within the raid, then that's almost kind of getting to not quite pay to win, but very close. I think getting the mailbox is just too much of gameplay changing. It's not just transmog, it's not just repairing, it's not just the auction house. So I think that's the thing that is the issue. It's not the $90 mount, it's what is on the mount, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
I
not
don't.
a popular opinion.
I mean, like I'll admit, there is a $90 amount I would pay for at some point because I have that income to be able to. But and I saw this. I think I'm stealing this from a comment on Reddit or the forums or something. But it's a portal. If they put a portal master on one of these mounts, and I can like click on it and say port me to Orgrimmar, port me to Thunderbluff, port me to
Yeah. A mage, just a mountable mage is what you're
well,
saying?
not. I would say like you got to leave out the expansions like Shathrath, North Dalron,
Yeah.
but like maybe the current expansion or maybe like Stonard or something as well. But just like port me to Undercity, port me to Thunderbluff, port me to Orgrimmar. I would buy that mount with a Portal
Yeah.
Master on it. But that's, I mean, whatever, pay to win, whatever. I like. They obviously, I obviously this was planned for the celebration because of those gems on the mount, right? Like they were
Yeah.
planning to put this out for the 20th anniversary, the 10 expansions of WoW, blah blah blah. But I also wonder, there's got to be someone's job at Blizzard whose job it is to manage the gold economy of WoW, and they must have, like, this was a mega gold dump for, like the old Brutosaur was, right? Like people were hoarding too much gold and not putting enough into the auction house economy or whatever, and Blizzard doesn't want to have X many players with too much gold.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they have to come out with stuff like this for people to dump gold into, because that's what it was. WoW token price shot up, tokens were unavailable because people, I feel like the majority, if you looked at it, the majority of Brutosaurs sold, just as a percentage, were probably bought with straight up gold.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, yes, some people did pay $90 to get it, but
Yeah.
I think it's probably something like 60-40, 70-30, and 30% of people who bought it used that $90. Now, again, I don't care if they make $1 billion off of this. That's why Microsoft paid $80 billion for Blizzard, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and the unfortunate thing about it is there was a $30 mount bundle where you get 4 mounts, which is by the shop prices is a killer deal to get 4 mounts for $30 when one mount usually costs $15. So I think that's cool. That's the good mount bundle though, right? Is this Warcraft 3 themed 4 mounts that are going to match the trading post, which is what they're kind of intending to do, of course. But those trading post back pieces come out next month for the Night Elf, Undead, Orc, and Human. So that's the unfortunate thing is both of those were released the same day, and the Brutosaur got all the hype, and there was actually a decent mount pack also released. But overall, it doesn't bother me, I think, as much as other people, but I could absolutely see why it would bother someone who grinded a 5 million gold Brutosaur and feel wicked unfair to them, because now you can just buy a better mount that has a mailbox instead and looks better.
Yeah. Well, and even if you bought it with tokens, I don't know exactly how the math was, but I thought I heard that it's if you bought it with gold, it was only 2.8, 3.2, somewhere around that, range, 3.2 million gold to get.
Yeah.
So not only is it a better mount, but even if you bought it through gold, converting it to WoW tokens, it was cheaper.
So the biggest thing is the game is going to keep going because of mounts like that. It's not really game breaking in my opinion. Although a mount with a summoning stone would be way better.
Yeah.
Because then we wouldn't require a warlock. Our raid team doesn't have a warlock, and it's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Of this whole expansion, honestly, because people just show up late and need to be summoned, and when you don't have a warlock and you're already 2 bosses in.
Yeah. And I think wasn't it Liquid Max that I think he posted on Twitter that was here's a mount that I would actually pay $90 for, and it was.
Oh, I would absolutely buy a summoning stone mount. It'd be cool, cool as hell too. Portal Trainer on one side, Summoning Stone on the other. You got $90 out of me, Blizzard. Seriously.
Yeah.
So I wanted to move on. That's the news this week. But overall, the 20th anniversary, the Tier 2 sets look fantastic. The mount is cool, at least. And overall, I think it was a successful. I think it's a fun anniversary. They did this with Blizzard's 30th anniversary a couple years ago, where they came out with a $60 bundle for stuff, and people weren't as enraged at that. But the Snowstorm mount was dope that I got.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that I think about the anniversary, and I don't know if you feel the same way, and I mean I guess it's kind of okay because of point where it isn't patch and what I've started to do, but it feels like it shouldn't be 0.5 patch because it doesn't have anything for me to do on my main. It doesn't feel like it's part of the War Within. It's just a cool little thing. I'm going into my alts, and so my alts, it's amazing. As you know, I just leveled my shaman all the way through with time walking dungeons, and the nice thing about the event is BRD doesn't have any item level requirements, so I can go fresh 80, immediately queue for LFR for BRD, and start getting gear right away.
Yeah, and grief people with spirit link totems like I got griefed last night.
Yeah, but so as far as for alt gameplay, I'm really enjoying it, and that's kind of I guess where I'm shifting to anyway. I mean, I just got KSM. We should kill Queen next week, so the patch is almost done.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's another.
But
we're not going to talk about that tonight.
I'm kind of disappointed
because
I am. But for me,
after our Mythic Plus group this week, I'm irate with Blizzard with these Mythic Plus changes and how easy the first 7 bosses of the raid was and how difficult heroic Queen is. There's just it's obvious they didn't change the fight a lot from Mythic, and there's just Mythic level mechanics that shouldn't be happening. That didn't happen on Sire Denathrius, that didn't happen on Razageth, and those were hard fights. But they weren't. It's unfairly hard right now when there's 45 guilds on Warm Rest Accord who haven't killed her. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into... Oh, I have to start my timer, so we got some bonus time. We're going to get into... It was announced on November 13th. They're doing a keynote for 30 years of Warcraft. So we had the Blizzard thing during COVID, the virtual BlizzCon, that was the 30 years of Blizzard. Now we're reaching 30 years of Warcraft. I mean, it just seems like they're at this point where Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft are all hitting these big milestones. So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to do anything big? Do you think... Because right now, in the Blizzard-type pipeline, there's nothing. Like, yeah, we know Midnight's coming. We know 11.1 is coming at some point. We know The Last Titan is a thing. But what is coming? Because I want to hear what you have to think.
So I guess it's a question of what do I think's coming, or what do I?
Yeah, just like what would you like to see?
Yeah.
Or what do you think is coming in terms of just like... what would you like to see? Just give me your wildest predictions. Like, give me the hottest takes.
So my hottest take would be, and it's partly because, I mean, this is something I've been waiting for ages, but also, because of other stuff that's going on, I'm in the mood for it. As you know, I don't know if you even watched it, but me and my partner have got really into Arcane, and so much so that we named our dog after Jinx.
Yeah.
Not from League of Legends, because she never played League of Legends, but because of Arcane specifically. And I've been waiting for something like that, an animated series or something set in the Warcraft universe. And if they were going to announce it, it would be now. And if you remember, while this is getting a little bit into semantics, I think it's significant. Where when Chris Metzen was brought back, he's not working on World of Warcraft. His title that they gave him was something like, wasn't it like Executive Creative Director of the Warcraft universe? Yeah. Which implies, if it was just for WoW, if he wasn't going to do anything otherwise, he would just be part of Team 2. It would just be World of Warcraft. But they specifically say it's the Warcraft universe. Chris Metzen isn't doing anything with Rumble. Chris Metzen isn't doing anything with Hearthstone, which are the two only other things within the Warcraft universe. Yeah. So,
but those are small teams. Hearthstone's tiny, and then Rumble I think is even smaller. But those games that continue yours and I'll get into mine.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's too much to hope for, but especially seeing the success of things like Arcane, and other, even recently, I know when the Warcraft movie came out, that was kind of mediocre, but recently there's been a lot of good gaming adaptations into shows and things like that.
Just look at Sonic. Sonic's one of the most popular kids movies now. Yeah. And they're coming out with a third one, and it's like, remember when they first came out with it, and everyone was like, "You're doing Sonic wrong." And they were like, "Oh, sorry. Yeah. We'll wait 3 months and reanimate him." And then he looks accurate now, and it's like that should have flopped. That should have been released without them changing anything, So
exactly.
Warcraft, I think it's tough because people were like, Warcraft flopped, but it didn't because it made its money back in China. Yeah. So.
Well, and I think what they need to do, if they were going to do something like that, I think the mistake with Warcraft and the mistake with what a lot of people have been saying, I'm sure you've probably seen the posts on Reddit where people are like, Henry Cavill's no longer doing The Witcher. Let's have him come and do Arthas. And I think that's a bad idea, because we know the story of Arthas. We've played Warcraft 3 8 million times. That's going to be boring. I think what you need to do is do something like Arcane, where it's characters that people know, but stories that they don't know. And so basically having it be, more like, in a way, kind of like the D&D movie that came out, with just a ragtag group of adventurers that are in Azeroth,
Mm.
and just make this
More
really,
like a
really good
Vox
story
Machina.
that you don't need to be a Warcraft. Yes,
A
like
Vox Machina. You have
you
the
don't have to be part
magic and
of.
stuff of
Yeah,
WoW, but it's a
mhm.
D&D campaign inside the WoW universe.
Yeah, exactly, and that way you don't need to have you don't need to be a Warcraft fan. And like again, to
What
just go
about
back to
this?
Arcane
It's like
example.
the D&D of WoW, but it's following, like, you'll have the characters show up like Thrall because he's a quest giver, but you have
Exactly.
like,
But he's not the main character.
but
It's not the
season
story.
one is like a group of horde adventurers. It would always be the alliance. So season one would be the, you could do it season one being like the uncovering of the Defias Brotherhood,
Yeah,
and
something like that.
and
Like, yeah.
the last episode is going into Dead Mines with a group of 5 adventurers that is more like a Vox Machina setup. Um, and obviously they like get the quests from people and you like know the names, and but overall someone could watch this and just go, wow, that was a fun story. That's cool.
Without being someone with an Azeroth, because just like I mentioned with Arcane, I think the way you can tell Arcane was a success is not because League of Legends
Yeah.
players liked it, but because people who
There
never
were
liked
things
League
for the
and
League of
people
Legends
like my partner
players,
who not only never played League but have, yeah.
but when
And
you
I
have
think
a
the thing with Arcane,
soundtrack that's a total banger,
yeah,
and a movie
yeah,
that or a show that's making me cry and is
exactly, and
absolutely
like
insane.
yeah, and especially the fact that they were able to do it with League of Legends, because League of Legends just isn't a game that people didn't play. Like, you either played League of Legends or you think people that play League of Legends are the most toxic scum of the earth, and you might be both someone who played League of Legends and also think that. Like, no one has a neutral opinion of League of Legends. You're in the gaming sphere, you either love League of Legends or you think it's
Yeah. Yeah.
the worst thing that
That's
ever
fair.
happened to gaming. And the fact that you can take that universe and make a wildly successful game means that, like, that's kind of the blueprint that we should shoot for. So I don't know
Yeah,
if Blizzard's
I
going to
think
do
so.
that. I don't know. That's why I started with like being like,
The
is it what I
hottest
think is
take.
going to happen or what I want to happen?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
that's what I
obviously we're
want
going to
to
get
happen. I don't think it's what
11.1.
will happen.
Right, we're going to get 11.1.
Yeah.
We agree on that. It's going to be some sort of,
Yeah.
I've heard something like a Lifelands. Obviously we're seeing these NPCs and Dornegal talking about crystals across the sea. So we're getting some sort of new zone. And we're going to follow the expansion blueprint of new zone, new raid, blah blah blah.
Mega dungeon.
Right, whatever. Yeah, a mega dungeon at some point. It is what it is. I'm not overly excited about it. I'm excited to see where the War Within story goes, what Xalatath is going to do next, and stuff. I'm curious with where they're leading with all these Titan disk fragment things and how they're revealing to us just what Azeroth is and some of the meta stuff about all that stuff. So, I think just stuff I've been watching. So I watched Day 9's like 15th anniversary stream. I've noticed he's gotten back into Blizzard this year, kind of out of nowhere it seems. He's been doing stuff with Hearthstone people. He's been doing stuff with WoW people now, as he was just on the Potty Sea. But he's a StarCraft guy. I truly wonder if they're bringing Warcraft 4 out. That's my hottest take, is that Warcraft 4 is coming. And they have Day 9 helping somehow.
Yeah.
But I think more likely Warcraft 3 remastered or reforged is getting totally redone. I think they've put the team that originally did it back onto it after the success of Diablo 2. They now went and saw, well, Diablo 2 remastered was a huge success and looks great and plays like Diablo 2. Let's make sure we go back and make Warcraft 3 that way. However, I do also think there's a custom map that has totally blown up on Warcraft 3 in like the last couple of months called Direct Strike that Grubby's been playing nonstop. And he's the biggest Warcraft 3 person, so it's like, do not let Valve make a direct strike game mode, Blizzard, and
Or at least
take
they
it
did
from you.
without it. Yep. Yeah.
Because more people are playing direct strike than 1v1 Warcraft 3. Come out with a $20 direct strike game. Come out with a free-to-play direct strike now, yesterday. And then make it all microtransactions for some of the skins and stuff like that. Now, I think a big thing about Direct Strike is there is a lot of in-game earnable stuff because it's a custom game. So you need to keep some of that in, but also allow store-bought stuff to fund it. And it's going to be low overhead. Just hire the guy that like literally made the custom map. If the custom map's also in StarCraft, so like I do think Warcraft 3 is getting us effectively reforged. There's a lot of rumors going around. Grubby made a video. Back to Warcraft made a video. There's still, especially in Europe, Warcraft 3 is still popular. I would argue it possibly has. It's still alive. So I think Warcraft 4 could be coming. I think Blizzard is still the only company to do RTSs successfully. Like Age of Empires is good and has a comp scene, but nothing has ever matched StarCraft. Nothing has ever matched Warcraft 3. Nothing has ever matched World of Warcraft. And I think the recent Pod-C with Day 9 gets into that. Like, there's just, for some reason, Blizzard makes games that feel good to do the thing you're doing. Even Warcraft Rumble, which is like, just a gotcha phone game. It feels good to pull the minis from the tray onto the battlefield and watch them march across the map. Hearthstone, it feels good to play your cards. It feels horrible to lose because the game is like all luck and garbage. But the pulling your big cards from your hand and playing them feels good, And I think a lot of games forget that at the top level, the very top level, stuff like Minecraft, right? Stuff like World of Warcraft, it just feels good to click the buttons. Stuff like even League of Legends, it feels good to click the button. The rest of that will come later. If your game isn't fun to click the button, the rest of it's not going to come.
Yeah.
And I think that's why StarCraft 2 lost to League of Legends eventually, is because StarCraft 2 was a little bit more complicated, and it wasn't as good to just click the button.
Well, and so going back to the idea of Warcraft 4, I guess the only thing that I think makes it awkward, and I think why I don't think a Warcraft 4 would come anytime soon but maybe it could in the near future, is how do you balance Warcraft 4, like progressing the story with also WoW? And I feel like the only time you could do a Warcraft 4 is after the saga.
Yeah,
like,
after the Last Titan, which they may be teasing, right? They may go, oh, Last Titan's coming, and we're going to do Warcraft 4 after that. But I also think, why does it have to be WoW's future? There is 10,000 years between between the War of the Ancients. In fact, that's number one. You could do a War of the Ancients RTS and play out a campaign that's the War of the Ancients, right? But there's 10,000 years of history between that and WoW. You could go back, you could remaster Warcraft 2, to be honest. That campaign is incredible, and that storytelling is great, but the game is definitely behind. When you can only select 9 units or whatever, it's just way behind. Yeah. So, and I know there's a Warcraft 2 basically reforged in custom campaign in Warcraft 3. So, that's my hottest take. I think obviously we're going to get 11.1, and that might be all we get. I'll be a little bit disappointed.
Which will be a little depressing.
I'm a little bit too hyped for this event. But overall, I think WoW's in a good place. Like, we're gonna have 30 more years of this game. No company has ever been able to match this. and like listening to like what Day 9 says about the game and stuff with the Potty C, like it's refreshing to see his view on it. That you just have to sometimes, like, yes, I'm mad at Mythic Plus tuning. I'm mad at... I don't play a class that's been screwed over by class tuning, so I'm not mad at that. But I'm mad at Mythic Plus tuning. I'm mad at how difficult Queen Ansurrect is. But no one's doing this. No one can put out a game like this and continue it. This has been 20 years of World of Warcraft. Like, this is insane that this game is still running the same basically game at 20 years later from Classic. And the fact that I can just go back and play Classic. What I would like to see, actually, before we end it here, what I would like to see is Plunderstorm. Plunderstorm, Stranglethorn Veil. Plunderstorm, Stranglethorn Veil. That would be fun.
That would, and it's the perfect timing.
Alright, so we're over time, so let's wrap it up here, but... What you get the last word, though.
Oh, I was going to say, I could just see him, and this would be actually something that's more realistic, and what I could see as being the perfect way to do what they announced on the 13th, is not have it just be the announcement, but just like with Plunderstorm, where we had no idea what it was, and then servers went live, and it was there. It would be so cool if they just did that. They just, no announcement, nothing, and then the 13th, after maintenance or whatever, we log in, and Plunderstorm's there.
Yeah,
and it's the perfect time now that we've got a couple of months before.
Honestly, 11.1. Because they brought it up at the Potty C. I'm missing it a bit. I enjoyed Plunderstorm. The gameplay loop of collecting the items and clicking the buttons and the double jump on everybody and the no fall damage, so you could just run across the map however you wanted, felt really good. That's why Fortnite's popular. That's why Minecraft is popular. That's why this game is still popular. That's why League of Legends. Because playing the game at the very base level of the game feels good, and I think Plunderstorm actually hit something there. That's just my opinion, though. I truly thought Plunderstorm was awesome. So, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's another Battle Royale, but it worked out. So yeah, we gotta wrap it up though. We'll talk more 20th anniversary because I don't think a lot will happen other than maybe finally killing Queen this week. So have a happy Halloween, Theo, on Thursday.
Oh yes.
And we'll see all of you next week.
Yep. See ya.